And leading off our discussion tonight of Trump on trial is Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff of California. He's the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, and he served as the lead impeachment manager in the first impeachment trial of Donald Trump. Chairman Schiff, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you making the time.
Good to be with you.
I want to go to a point that's made by the House managers in their pleadings. They say that what Donald Trump is charged with here, which is an echo of what Liz Cheney just said, is, quote, the most grievous constitutional crime ever committed by a president. Having already prosecuted Donald Trump yourself in an impeachment trial, do you agree that this charge is the most grievous constitutional crime ever committed by a president?
I do, and I don't think it's even close. And I say that as someone who thought his last presidential abuse was among the most serious in history. But I say that because the paramount concern of the founders was that a president would seek to instill themselves in office permanently, that they would become president for life or king. And here, where the president incites violence against the Capitol, against the Constitution, because when we talk about upholding and defending the Constitution, we're not talking about the parchment, of course. We're talking about what's embodied in that Constitution. And that joint session of Congress was all about the peaceful transfer of power. That's the ceremony where you literally are counting the electors. And by launching that mob at the Capitol to interfere with that, by all the bogus, fraudulent claims of fraud, all the incitement against the vice president, he was seeking to defeat that constitutional process, and in so doing, resulted in 5 people losing their lives. Hard to imagine a more serious violation of the Constitution or something the founders would have been more concerned about than that.
I want to show a piece of video that we will be seeing during the Senate impeachment trial. There's a lot of this video. This is of Donald Trump on January 6th telling people to go to the Capitol and saying that he would go with them. This is going to be important evidence in the trial. Let's listen to this.
We're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here we're going to walk down to the Capitol.
And, Chairman, this may sound small, but he's doing that at an event that had a permit only for that location. They were not allowed specifically to move in any direction away from there, especially toward the Capitol. That's obviously evidence that's going to be played probably again and again during this trial.
I'm sure that's true. And it just shows the premeditation that for months, he's lying about the election, saying he's not going to accept the results if he doesn't win, or he won't commit to accepting the results. Then he lies about the election, lies about the aftermath, tries to get local elected officials, then state elected officials to help him cheat. That corrupt call with the Secretary of State in Georgia to find 11,780 votes that don't exist, all culminating in that day and that march on the Capitol. And the result was eminently foreseeable: violence against the Capitol and everyone potentially in it. And so, yes, that's powerful evidence. But importantly, that evidence needs to be viewed in the context of everything that led up to that day and the president's refusal to intervene to stop the violence when it began. Indeed, he was on the phone still agitating senators to ignore their constitutional duty.
The Senate does not have an agreement. Majority Leader and Minority Leader did not reach an agreement on exactly how to handle witnesses. That's left open in case witnesses are requested by one side or the other. Then they will decide how to do that. That could, for example, include the possibility of allowing them to take depositions outside of the trial procedure. That could slow things down for days. But there will, in effect, be witnesses. I mean, Donald Trump's going to testify the way he just did on that video. The people who invaded the Capitol, the people who threatened the lives of people inside the Capitol, are going to be testifying through their own recorded video that they did of themselves. So there will, in effect, be witnesses. Do you think think the House managers need more than that?
I think it'll be entirely Jamie's call, and he's an extraordinarily capable constitutional scholar and lawyer. And I think they can evaluate whether they need to go beyond the documented witness testimony, the video, the tape of the phone call between the president and the Secretary of State in Georgia, if they want to use it. Obviously, all the footage of the president, not only at that rally, but at other rallies, and his injunction that they needed to fight like hell or they would lose their country. They needed to stop the steal and all the rest of that. Do they go beyond that? That's a judgment call. They'll have to decide if they do so. Are they prepared for the defense to call witnesses? Does that help build the case, or does that detract from the case? And I think only the manager and Jamie can make that call. But the one other factor is there are going to be over 100 witnesses who are present for the trial. That is the senators and the House members. Their testimony may be silent, but they understand exactly what took place on that day. They were there. And unlike the first trial where they had to step into the shoes of, for example, a Ukrainian soldier on the front lines of Russia being deprived potentially of military aid so the president could extort Ukraine into helping him cheat. No, these senators don't need to imagine what it was like to be in the shoes of people facing that angry mob because they were there.
Tomorrow is going to be William Belknap Day in the Senate. I think this time tomorrow night, the country's going to know an awful lot about the Secretary of War, Belknap, who was impeached and after the fact of leaving office. And that is the precedent during President Grant's administration. William Belknap impeached and tried in the Senate after he left office. That seems to be the controlling case from the prosecutor's side. Is there a case that can be cited on the Trump side to point to this being an illegitimate process?
It will be very hard. Not only is the Belknap case obviously the most on point, but there were two very high-profile cases in Britain before the Constitution was drafted or while it was being drafted, in which former British officials were impeached and tried. That was the experience of the framers when they were drafting the Constitution. If they were going to depart from it, they knew how to write that, but they didn't. That was a conscious decision. The language of the text makes it clear you can disqualify someone. That really only applies to people who are no longer in office, because the moment they're convicted, they're removed from office, and disqualification is a separate remedy. The Trump defense may point to a case involving a judge named Archibald, who was impeached on any number of counts for conduct in a prior position and a current position. And there, most of the senators who spoke out at the time, although that judge was acquitted of prior offenses, said that they believed that you could be convicted for prior offenses. They just didn't think the evidence was strong enough. So even that case doesn't support the defense.
Congressman Adam Schiff, thank you very much for starting us off on this hour. We really appreciate it tonight.